I mean, very few players in the LPL have been willing to go for the Ezreal when, yeah, you're right, the Velos is up and available.
Well, you think about it, right? I mean, you get outscaled by the Jinx, you get outranged by the Jinx in the laning phase at least. Like, she can just switch to the Rockets, push you in. Sure, you can try and hit the Mystic shots, but doesn't really do too much early on in the game. But OMG, with this pivot, might just be setting up to build a bit of a poke comp themselves. I said it's very hard to outrange a Jinx, but nope. OMG baited us.
They didn't do.
I would have actually been excited to see, you know, that come to fruition with the fact that they went for this Ezreal, because I expected to just get pushed in heavily on this bottom side and give FPX a consistent place of pressure.
Especially when it's Creme's direction of champion pool, right? We criticized a little bit how the Vex went for him in game number 1. Creme on the LeBlanc, that's what you think of when you think of this guy alongside things like the Akali. So we'll see if it comes through in priority of jungle. While for FPX, it is a solo laner here for xiaolaohu. Another solid like the Jace that he has been put on before. Now it's just got to be the question if they want to get cleared his jungle champion, but they say, hell to that, we'll get our solo laners first.
Yeah, especially after our first series, we got to keep in mind that that is a flex pick.
That's
obviously true. For anyone's legend, they did just consistently go with that one towards the jungle. You would still expect to see it up here towards the top side for xiaolaohu, who is one of his more comfortable options. Now for OMG, you're able to answer back with what I'd assume would be a mid lane counter pick, trying to get Creme in a good spot. Again, we already highlighted LeBlanc earlier as something that is there. He could go back to the Vex, I guess, theoretically, but no. Instead, maybe wanting to pivot up to a top-side pick. And once again, going towards the 5v5s, going towards an AP top laner, which have really been where Shanji has felt comfortable to split.
Again, those volatile top laners. Rumble game 1, Kennen game 2. So we don't have any junglers at all. Again, you mentioned FPX have the flexibility, whether that Graves does go into jungle, but at the very least, we know Ahri hasn't picked one up. Creme, Ezreal, Lee Sin, Jarvan. There's a lot available, but also a lot that you can take away.
Yeah, and for OMG, I mean, right, your comp kind of goes in two different directions right now to where, I mean, Ezreal obviously wanted to play back, wanted to kite back. Kennen's kind of versatile because if you're playing against heavy all-in, you can play Slicing Maelstrom as a way to dissuade people from coming into it. If they do, you just get a free Slicing Maelstrom onto like 4 to 5 members. But obviously the bot side wanting to go in so far. So OMG can still pivot their composition in many different directions. For Ahri, I'm curious to see where he goes with jungle. Knowing him, it wouldn't be too surprising to see the Xin Zhao come out once again, just because despite, again, the changes to itemization, it has been where he has looked comfortable. But Creme still being on the board, something I want to highlight as well, especially with Clid having such a great game 1.
Okay, so do we get a ban here towards jungle, towards something like the Xin Zhao that's come from FPX? We've already got the LeBlanc ban against Creme, who's yet to pick up his mid lane champion. Well, the Vex comes out just in case. Now it's going to be interesting if, you know, again, we get that early jungle as you talked about.
I also wonder if we'll maybe get a control mage here coming out from Creme, considering that, again, once you get past the Akalis, LeBlancs, it feels like his most comfortable champions have really been the Oriannas, the Victors, which are things we've seen kind of fall out of the meta, but you still do see come in, especially the Orianna, if you have the setup available. You have a little bit of setup for the side of OMG, not a whole lot, but Ahri getting his hand on some heavy skirmishing with the Viego once he does get to that post-6 mark.
But it feels like Clid's going to do the same, right? I mean, we have Ahri, we have Lee Sin. Lee Sin loves these scenes. It's always nice to see Clid on the champion that he has been most famous for over his career.
Yeah, when I think of Clid, I think of Lee Sin, I think of Volibear. Two champions that they don't want to skirmish post-6. They want to get in your face early on. They want to find the kills. They do very well with mids that can set up ganks because you do bring so much burst damage in those matchups. And now for FPX, I mean, could go towards this one once again.
Looks great.
They're going to go to it. So having a lot of setup, having the knockback to try and keep Kennen away from the key carries so the Slicing Maelstrom can't find big targets. And FPX kind of once again sitting up for a bit of a pick comp, can play the 5v5s quite strong though. And OMG falls in their court for where Creme goes. We highlighted things like the Orianna technically there if you want to look for a bit of a neutral matchup and play team fights. But so far, maybe thinking of going for a bit of a side lane option themselves.
But we're going to have AP solo laners here coming through Lyric if this gets locked in. Ryze, that's had so much priority in the LPL, just finds its way all the way through to the end of draft. And it looks like Creme is going to try and make magic happen. When you already talked about skirmishing here for OMG, and further on that point, bridge me through to what this team does with a lot of different moving parts.
I'm just not a huge fan of it. I'm not really big on seeing Ezreal come out, you know, in the meta against what a lot of the bot lane combinations are. You know, when you think of Ryze, we always talk about the realm warp and what plays you're going to be looking to make after 6. I feel like top is really the only lane you can play towards. Obviously, Graves does really well against AD matchups because of the, you know, the armor coming in from your True Grit. But having double AP go to that side, you could try and set up some picks, maybe get the Kennen ahead, bring him into those team fights on flanks, and try to set up that way. So I expect getting your top side ahead for the side of OMG to be what gets them ahead and try and get them into those fights.
So at least playing towards the way OMG plays, right? Again, these drafts always been about Shanji, or at least the early game has been, and bridging it from there is going to be interesting. At the very least here, we see OMG, changing their draft completely and, putting something maybe with more comfort down in the bottom lane. I feel like Abel and Cold have been quite fickle, quite volatile.
I feel like it's weird though, because when I think of Abel and Cold's comfort, I think of things like Samira. I think of like really aggressive picks that want to go in, that want to look for the fight, not necessarily an Ezreal.
But again, he's weird. Abel is a very weird AD carry, to put it lightly. Cold as well. I'm surprised that we don't get a very different support, but the Leona comes through in the end anyway. And so for OMG, when their backs are against the wall, when it looks so hard for them to make playoffs, let's be realistic. If FPX win this series, OMG have to not only beat RNG, but beat LNG. Now, LNG, I think, is actually very doable, especially with LNG's form. But RNG are a different beast, so they need this series. Even if it's 2-1, they just need this series, and they will lock in playoffs. But FPX have started with a bit of a barn burner. It's game 1 for them that puts them in momentum. It's the Lwx Lee Sin that comes out the second time around. And that's what it's all about if you're an FPX fan. You want to see this man who's represented at the world stage, at the MSI stage, on his most famous champion, to see if they can seal the deal and put themselves in the position of just about making playoffs. Welcome to Game 2. Welcome to the Side Swap, and welcome to League of Legends, a game for all ages.
That's true. I remember us talking yesterday about, League of Legends being targeted now. Maybe people don't play League of Legends. Maybe people like your parents.
That's right.
That's what you said to me exactly.
I mean, the pro players of the future are going to be 60 years old. Faker will still be playing. He'll be 40 with a wife and kids. Maybe the new T1 is Faker, his wife, his 2 children, and maybe his grandmother.
Rookie versus Baker in the retirement home.
Yeah.
Is that what we get?
It's the year 2018.
They could even be in the same retirement home.
Oh my God. Wouldn't that be great? Retirement homes in the future look like Summoner's Rift. And Faker, his room is the mid lane.
I mean, I don't know if that sounds too comfortable, but
depends.
Coming into the Rift, we got high stakes games going on, playoff implications. Again, I'm kind of looking at OMG to see where they want to play towards. Ezreal, Leona, not a lane you typically think of trying to generate pressure down there, trying to snowball it ahead, take turret plates. You expect them to play on the island because Ezreal's always famously been this AD carry that feels very comfortable playing alone because you have the safety built in. You can farm from a range with your Q. You have the E to be able to escape, and then Cold can try to impact the map. So from G, maybe that's where you want to look, right? Getting Cold out of lane early on to look for skirmishes, as they're going to look for a bit of a trade because it's an Alistar, not really having access to anything in terms of level 1 trade, putting threat onto an enemy AD carry. But later on, Cold getting out of lane, enabling Creme to move, maybe looking up towards top side to get Shanji ahead, and pivoting that to the big 5v5s. Yeah,
again, getting Shanji ahead, that's what you said in the draft about this composition. Looking at what top lane can do, slapping Maelstrom through the Realm Warp for the positioning advantage. But for FPX, we briefly touched on this, and I want to come back to it. Care and Clid, that mid-jungle duo, not necessarily in the lane, but throughout the skirmishes we saw in game number 1, was a big strength.
And this time around, you even have the setup to be a big force in the lane like we're seeing now, right? Set up with the charm, hit the Sonic Wave from Clid, find the kill.
For it. Versus it out of Creme, and Clid comes on in, not burning his own, but the Sonic Wave connects. There's a Tempest Crit Pull. They want to return. Ahri burns his own flash. OMG, the counterplay, gorgeous.
That was great coming out from Ahri with the flash, enabling he gets the CC down onto Clid. They thought they'd be able to get away because, your Lee Sin, Carrot already flashed away. You have the safeguard there available, but not able to do so. Enough burst coming out from the side of OMG, and already finding that bit of an advantage, so they're transferring that to other lanes.
Really nicely done. Ahri, we talked about what the skirmishing could achieve. We talked about what this jungler could achieve in the bottom lane. A little bit more of that. Pulverized, almost on the traps. Cold getting low. But if Lwx pushed him a little further, that would have been a kill.
Yeah, and FPX now having the advantage. I expect them to be able to get pushed whenever they want in this lane going forward. Again, the ability to change to Fishbones for Lwx, have those rockets, AoE the wave, get the trades off even onto the enemy AD carries. He walks to answer, considering Ezreal's auto attack range is not that long.
Okay, hung with a counter play, but a good repositioning from Abel. Ignite takes him down. Ezreal's on the board. Lwx with no mana, only a flash and clans. He burns both of them, but Abel's following through. A Mystic Shot needs to connect the heal under turret. He's taken one too many. Abel with a double, but that kill means Lwx doesn't walk away empty-handed.
And, I mean, even the wave, not going to be crashing into tower for the side of FPX means OMG will be able to answer. I like Cold knowing he can take the trade there with Hung playing a bit too far forward.
Yeah.
You don't have a heal on the side of FPX, so you go for the engage. What are you going to do to get Hung back up to full HP? They walk forward, Cold waiting for the moment that he hits level 3, finds his Zenith Blade, goes in, and Lwx not able to answer considering how low Hung already is. And Cold even, I think, having a decent amount more tankiness in the early game coming out from his W as compared to an Alistar where you really get that online at the level 6 mark. So nice trade coming out from them. They also should be able to find the CS against the wave didn't get crashed into tower, so the wave control there for the side of OMG.
We talked about the volatility of Abel and Cole, but this can sometimes also happen, right? With the bad also comes the good. The aggressive 2v2 that they've all in the past, and it's really gone horribly. This game, a good start despite dying to turret. 2-1 Ezreal, where Abel has the Sheen. He's got the tier stacking as well. In a very good phase where OMG start this game with 1k gold lead.
And now having the Sheen available, so Abel going to be able to dish out a ton of damage. Does look like we're starting to pivot around the mid lane with both supports and junglers kind of making their way up there now. For OMG, I wonder if they'll look for a bot lane gank, considering Aki's already here. Clear out this vision with Cold, make your way over, but no. Instead, going to go for a bit of a dragon play.
And so what do you do is response. Klid's failed play in the mid lane, or at least response to the 2v2 was good from OMG. But Klid's still farming up, and we did talk about what he can do mid. Creme's flash is still down.
Yeah, you could look mid once again. I feel like the thing you're scared about right now is Cold obviously not showing on the map. You know, can be pivoting up towards that mid lane. You need your bot lane to be able to get pushed first to ensure that Cold has to answer down in that bot lane. Or at least if he's not, you're getting turret plates for your AD carry in Lwx. So waiting for that timing, at least clearing out camps right now. You could see, it looks like Klid, maybe Wisefar finishing off Krugs, waiting in the wings around his bot side, could try and set up a play there.
Well, as he moves down, looks like pings are coming through. There's a couple of wards. Bottom side brush in the middle, you can see already. Hung actually walking over one a bit early before Klid moves into position. Not sure if he was actually spotted out there. Control ward in the dragon pit. Klid still skirting by. But Care's moving out of lane, Lyric. I wonder what happens here. Abel getting knocked up, but that's not the end of the play.
No, Klid here, Care already here.
Sonic Wave. Oh my god, it connects. Nice from Klid. He runs on in on his Lee Sin. It's an early shutdown under turret. The charm connects on top of Creme, who has no mana freak. As FPX 4 versus 2, it stops there. And that's a good little response play from the legend Lee Sin.
Yeah, I also believe Care hitting the charm at the end onto Creme, so him not able to walk up and maybe try and get more damage on a Hunger Lwx. Klid starting off the play. As a whole, the team able to finish off and start moving back over. As Aki, though, going to be looking towards his top side. Slicing Maelstrom now up for Shanji.
But the timing was almost good enough. xiaolaohu's over the wall. He's level 6 now as well. He starts his jungle camp. It's not a ward. Aki wants to pivot over, but he has no Heartbreaker yet. He'll just back away and look for FPX. The gold has been equalized a little bit here in this early game. Let's come back to the meat and 2 veggies at hand here, Lyric. And that is that OMG, they drafted a composition that you're a little bit questionable by, but you did tell me it comes down to those ultis from Creme, from Shanji, what can be delivered into these fights. Shanji now has his ultimate. The Herald is coming up in about 30 seconds. Walk me through it.
Yeah, for the side of OMG, right, they've been able to keep this push up at top side, so you'd expect them to want to look there, especially the fact that we hit on the Cold. Can look to make these roams towards top side. Looks like he's going to be doing so right now. Maybe play around mid, enable Creme to get the push. Then you could look to have that numbers advantage on top. Shanji come in, you have the slicing Maelstrom. You can have a good angle to come through since you're the one that has been keeping up push in top lane, and look for that. For FPX, I'm curious if they would even look to contest, or if instead you look to pivot to your bot side, but no. Looks like the answer from FPX, instead of letting that happen, just commit your whole bot side towards mid first, not allow that to happen.
I mean, Lwx going back on it, though. He takes the blast cone up, even after moving out of vision. Cold, as you said, making the movement possible, and I'm kind of just wondering to see who gets 6 out of the supports first. Maybe an ill-advised question, because Herald's already started, and everyone's moving past waves immediately upriver.
But look at Hung. Hung went back down to bottom side, so again, it did just pan out how we expected. OMG having the numbers advantage up here towards top. You have the Slicing Maelstrom available. It looks like Hung's starting to make his way now, but it might be too late. I feel like the only play you'll be able to find is maybe a gank onto Creme.
But Creme is safe in the wave, cleared with the splash available, but Creme has his backup too. Hung moving, it's after the fact, it's late, but Herald's gone down. And OMG getting the objective of the game with the Dragon. I mean, FPX wasted a lot of time doing nothing.
Yeah, it was so strange. Like, again, like, you know Colt's going to be looking for the roam. You know they have the Ezreal, and he can play safely under his turret. Would be very hard to dive. I'm sure maybe you can zone him off and get some plates, but they don't even do that. They look for a very late rotation. They'd already seen Colt there. They'd seen Colt there for about 20 seconds, and they still try to force a response instead of getting more gold onto Lwx, trying to accelerate this Jinx, and it feels just like a big loss for FPX in terms of time.
And what that Herald will do as well, like we can open up mid, we can open up top. There's lanes to play through here, Lyric, and it feels like Ahri now with his ult too. The dive ability with Herald is also something to consider.
Yeah, they definitely have options for the side of OMG, especially with Realm Warp coming up soon for Creme. But FPX don't want to wait for those options. They want to look for a play around top side. Not sure if they know that Ahri is here.
I know.
You do know.
Okay.
Okay, they know now.
Okay, well, now that we all know, here we go, kick into the wall, slicing mouse from Sonic Wave. It's stunned up onto Shanji. Clid won't take it. A nice ulti, he burns his flash, but so does Clid. And for now, FPX equalizes. Creme is caught out in the river, or at least in the top side jungle. Hung's here as well. An Orb of Deception, a Spirit Rush available, a Headbutt back, and a Realm Warp out. Care won't be able to chase. Creme's alive. It's battered blood, but no one dropping to the dirt.
Oh, wait, maybe it's not done.
Well, Ahri has his ultimate available on top of xiaolaohu with the flash available. He matches it, though. Clid comes in to save the day, but a reset comes through. Sonic Wave avoided, and Ahri is trying to match the Lee Sin legend. It's teleporting the bottom side. OMG wanted to keep it going.
Yeah, it looks like OMG were threatening a dive onto Lwx. Care having to come down to make sure that one doesn't come through. And I mean, at the end of all of that, not too much traded across the board. xiaolaohu did just go down. OMG still the team that's up in gold. And I feel like FPX were allowed to make that player on top side because Cole did make the previous move to Rift Herald. Meaning Cole going for the reset, having to answer back down to bottom lane to help his AD carry, you know, be able to catch the wave to push out. Gives a roam timing for Hung to look up towards top side. But sadly for FPX, with having numbers advantage, they didn't get anything from it.
And they didn't look again because Ahri didn't really force the play, just caught xiaolaohu moving back top.
Yeah, just looking for him, commits with the ultimate, has the flash mid with the red buff as well. You can be sure xiaolaohu will go down here no matter what. I'm surprised how close Clid was able to get him low and almost find that kill himself. Then not going to be able to follow up. Dragon on the board. OMG going to start that one off, and FPX are nowhere near.
They're not. I mean, slow to the party here, coming out from a base reset. Ahri's going to get this. And then we also have a Herald that needs to be put down in the next 20 seconds. So, I mean, this is looking like a really good early game from OMG. A 1k gold lead just about. Double Dragon for a Mountainous Rift. And FPX, the tools we kind of talked about. We mentioned some of the scaling coming through here, Lyric, but for OMG, kind of looking optimistic as they head towards their first item.
Yeah, looking quite good for their side. I mean, even still having things to highlight, like where they're going to look to make some of these group-up plays, considering that they do have the ability to move. Ahri having the Rift Herald still, and where you're going to look on that. You do have one play down in top side. That's where Ahri's looking right now.
Okay, well, xiaolaohu running away. It feels like xiaolaohu has been bullied a little bit by Ahri in this series, but more to what we expected. They like Shanji. They say that is an attractive lane, and we should spend time there.
And let's be fair to xiaolaohu. He does really well playing without resources. Like, that doesn't give over too many deaths. In the last series, we saw OMG commit so many dives, and they still weren't able to set him behind in terms of gold or CS or levels. And he's in the same thing this time around. He catches his waves. We see him take Gromp when the map is getting split. And you're pointing out to me right now on the screen that Rift Herald's about the timeout.
I am. xiaolaohu, Ahri, sorry, you got to put it down. Ahri, oh my god, did he put it? Yes, he did. Wow. That was in the nick of time, so it goes up to Shanji, the lane you wanted the whole time. And to be fair, this is actually going to be a pretty good Rift Herald because xiaolaohu just ulti to clear the wave and get out.
Yeah, now going to be able to get some of this down.
Shanji.
Shanji goes in.
That hurts to see.
It does, but still, I mean, at least you're able to chunk the turret down a little bit more. You can keep trying to open this one up on top side, give openings for Shanji to move around the map. His TP is going to be unleashed quite soon, so you can start, you know, bringing him down to this bottom side, trying to force these fights with the Slicing Maelstrom. And for FPX, they're trying to enact their game plan that we hit on of, hey, set up in mid lane. You have the charm available, bring in Clid, and then you can start moving this Ahri around the map and start trying to find these picks. But it hasn't worked out. Creme playing quite respectfully, even having the stopwatch. I
mean, but look top, Ahri's just down a perfect angle here. He got into the brush without being seen.
Oh, he's Clid from last game.
It is. Ahri's reenacting the game plan, but Clid's not here to respond, and xiaolaohu's going to get stunned up. Slicing Maelstrom, and Ahri with kill number 2. Perfectly done, and OMG. That's a nice bit of revenge, if you ask me.
Exact same play 2 games in a row from the opposite side. Now for OMG, doing what we just hit on, right? Being able to get this turret down now, start being able to move Shanji around the map. Shanji, though, not going to have the decisive Maelstrom, probably won't be able to find too many opportunities going forward. Heck, can't even break this one down. Remember one thing we talked a lot about, I think it was in 2020, was like how a turret that's low can just give you a false sense of security. Like, you really shouldn't consider it there. It's just standing gold that the enemy team can take any time they decide to bring numbers.
Oh, wow.
Shanji's dead.
I mean, yeah, without his ulti available, missing the Shuriken immediately. Klid has his ulti himself and Flash, but the Sonic Wave needs to connect. And, I mean, Shanji just kites around his own minion wave and Klid can't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, not feeling comfortable to try to throw out the Sonic Wave, which makes sense, right? I mean, there's so many minions around not wanting to flop that one, but still, Shanji playing that one quite well to be able to get away. Feels like he should have gone down, and now we're waiting for him to make his way towards that rocket belt, already picking up the Oblivion Orb to try to cut some of the healing on the outside. Of course, Gorjigger coming after Klid. You know, xiaolaohu's going to get a lot of lifesteal under his belt, I think already sitting on the Vampiric Scepter as well.
Yep.
And now we're making our way up towards the second Rift Herald spawn. This time around, OMG even committing their AD carry up here because Shanji has TP. Shanji can join at any time, and I feel like OMG should just be willing to start this one up right away, considering you still see LWX down on the way.
Yeah, I mean, at least this time LWX is sticking around, right? The FPX seem to have made a game plan here. Shanji spotted out, but LWX is going to have time with the turret, especially with the rest of FPX moving through vision. And, you know, in this game, I don't know what happened between game 1 and game 2, but OMG look a lot more complete. OMG look like they have a lot more direction.
This is where the coach sat them down, had a Coach Carter-esque speech.
Oh, yeah?
And he's like, yo, boys, we are one series away from qualifying for playoffs. Stop sucking.
Jackson.
Yeah.
I wish he was coach.
I feel like that's how harsh he was in that movie.
True.
You know, I don't feel like he gave a lot of, like,
But they were misfits.
Endearing speech. True.
OMG aren't really misfits. Or are they?
They kind of are.
They kind of are. Okay.
Yeah,
so maybe it is Coach Carter. Banger movie, if you haven't seen it. Samuel L. Jackson. Like every role in every movie, just pulls it off perfectly.
Yeah. It was, you know, a bit of an old school one. Yeah, there's actually a lot of old school coaching movies where, like, I can imagine the movie perfectly in my head, but I can't think of the titles. Not great with titles.
But, you know, like, coming back to Coach Carter, let me just say, I studied at school, in high school. It was about belonging. Because those guys didn't really belong to anything, but then they belonged to the basketball team.
Look, Abel didn't belong in RNG.
He didn't.
Comes here. Cold has stuck around. Has kind of been the one who's been able to make it. Aki, longtime sub under Top Esports,
yep,
not being able to play. Creme, not a starter, comes in. Some hype, not a lot of people know who he is. So exactly, it is a perfect one-for-one comparison. If you think otherwise, you're probably right, and I'm wrong. We have a Rift Herald coming out mid. Both teams group, but Shanji not here. Neither top laner really being here. So I feel like for OMG, that one is massive. But look,
I mean, yeah, Klid's behind enemy lines, not spotted out. 5 members now moving into position. Shanji is going deep for this one. Klid about to be spotted out. Sonic Wave connects, so the kick's there. He wants to solo him down. The Slicing Maelstrom actually down too as Klid is forfeiting the Dragon. Now the Smite being here. It's a double flash. Cold connects and Abel completes. OMG 5 versus 4, but Shanji without an ulti as a Realm Walk comes through too. They've found a hit as a knock-up turns it around. xiaolaohu and Hung playing together, but FPX are still picked off. Flash over the wall, the turret still stands, but Cold and Abel have a plan.
Man, if Klid didn't go down, just the fact that you're able to burn the Slicing Maelstrom on one person feels like it could have been huge. But sadly for him, the other members of OMG, very close by, able to turn, they find the pick. And then for FPX, not able to get anything off that. Even Creme able to come and answer this mid wave. Yep. So OMG answering on all fronts. Only a 2K gold lead, but they've had control this whole time. Slowly feels like we're on our way to a game 3.
It does. It's classic. We always bring in game 3s. I'm surprised the first series.
I think V5 is the only team that counteracts their curse.
But to be fair, they almost didn't.
They
almost didn't.
As we see here, OMG, I like that they're doing this. They're actually trying to bring Shanji around on the flank himself, I think. And then Klid, seeing his opportunity, goes in, forces out the Slicing Maelstrom. But again, the other members are here. They're willing to commit flashes to find this kill because it doesn't matter if they lose these flashes. They know they will be able to get the Dragon off of the play with the enemy jungler down. And even having the Realm Warp to then reposition, try and find more.
Yep.
OMG being very decisive in that moment.
Which is good to see. I mean, game 1, I wouldn't say the team looked decisive at all. It's a really great turnaround as Death Rocket hits Abel. Not sure if any Raptors were taken, but props anyway to LWX. And as True Shot Barrage comes through, I just want to point out like what we're seeing from OMG and how in control of this game they are. It's 2 items on Creme, who's about to get Pimple Winter fully upgraded. Shanji now has his Proto Belt as well. He picked up the Orb earlier, so he wasn't able to get his first item. We have a Trinity Force Ezreal instead of something like the Essence Reaver, so a lot of power here to access for OMG.
I also want to highlight for OMG, right? I mean, sure, they play against the Jinx on the opposite side, and we highlighted the range advantage in terms of the early game and being able to push out the wave. Like, sure, you can still trade with your Q, but not really giving you the pushing power. As we go later on, Abel's going to be such a nuisance for the other side. I mean, you don't have a Nautilus for something like his ultimate, a point-and-click CC that makes it easy to bring him down. You have no lockdown on your top or jungle. Really, like, Clid has to be able to find a flank to be able to kick off onto Abel, and Charm's a skill shot. So it's going to be very hard to manage bringing this Ezreal down. And if Abel can play well, I mean, that single-handedly can take over the game for the side of OMG. That's discounting the fact that they've had tempo and made these cool plays with Realm Warp, that they have the Slicing Maelstrom able to come through as well.
And I mean, he's already set up for success. Cold has been stuck to him like glue this game, and Abel has just been hitting these skill shots. So really nice to see that OMG's bottom lane are in such a positive move, and the whole of OMG, as they clear yet another turret, are in just such a great state once again. This game is a 2K gold lead at 20 minutes in. They're moving to a Mountain Salt in 2 minutes 30 as well. And I feel like at this point, knowing that FPX have to fight is great when you own a Ryze and a Kennen and I guess an Ezreal in very decent positions.
I mean, even Ahri, right, being ahead 2-0-1 on this Viego so far, able to find these resets. OMG looking to fight right now. Flank coming in from Shanji.
Yeah, but Hung's going to Hex Flash in. I mean, Creme is the one who I'd be scared of. Over the wall they are, but Shanji, the Slicing Maelstrom hits too. Lwx has to flash away. He survives for now. Gets off a bit of burst himself with FPX. They're split away, but that's great. Solar Flare is here, and Care is getting reset. Flashes in on top of Abel, but Ahri is now a merry moo cow. Clid still alive with the Sonic Wave that's connecting, but reset after reset, I'd be scared. OMG's jungler hits him right back.
Yeah, Care trying to do so much on the opposite side of the fight, but OMG, Shanji got the damage down, he was able to set up Creme and Ahri coming in, and now they can go for this push in mid lane. They can start looking for control all over the map, get some more vision control. Sure, it might not turn into any tangible objective, but Dragon's coming up in 1 minute 30 seconds. So this vision will be massively important for the side of OMG.
And I mean, Ahri surviving as well, like, getting the resets in that fight is going to lead into that second item before this dragon comes up. So we'll see as we go back to the replay. This is FPX choosing to go deep.
And I mean, OMG answer perfectly right. They bring in the Kennen on the flank. He will go down, but he finds key ultimate onto crucial members. Lwx is so incredibly low here. We see the Realm Warp then come out from Creme, which allows him to finish off Lwx. Care playing off to the side tries to save the fight. They try to get onto Abel. They are able to take him down, but like you said, the pivotal thing is Ahri gets to reset on the opposite of the fight, so Care just can't continue to run forward into a relatively, you know, like a bruiser version of Ahri, who now having the Randuin's Omen, Creme being tanky, and Cold as well, really having no great targets for Care to turn on after that initial pick.
And now in front of a Mountain Salt, 35 seconds. FPX are here first, but OMG have the item difference at this point. There's a fully stacked Manamune as well from Abel. This Ezreal going to do quite a lot of work, and we saw Care in the last fight. You brought him up. It feels like this Ahri going to be pivotal to finding Abel again.
Especially with the amount of armor on the side of OMG as well.
That's right. I mean, magic damage is going to be big, but double summon is available there. Meanwhile, OMG assert dominance once again in River. Clid's here by himself. There's a Realm Warp coming through. Realm Warp's going to take them back behind enemy lines. FPX on the wrong side, but Care finally comes through. The charm hits Ahri, and xiaolaohu's joining in. Soulflare in the meantime, though. They've got a two-man Everfrost, and Shanji returns to light it up. The top laner does work as Lwx drops down, and Clid too. OMG ready to take us to a game number 3 as low health bars, but 5 members stand strong. OMG have done it. That soul as good as theirs.
And it's going to be so hard to bring them down, right? Not only have we been highlighting just them focusing on the defensive itemization coming in with their armor, this heavy AD composition, now having the shield, now having, again, just more bonus resistances coming in from the Mountain Drake itself. They can move up to mid, push this in. I'm curious to see if they'll just look straight towards Baron. I assume you do, but FPX's death timer's only about 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, let's see what Clid can do, but I'm not too optimistic. OMG start the Baron, FPX running out of base. Lwx doesn't have Super Mega Death Rocket, so does this go quick enough for the Ezreal? Yes, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I think Ezreal has like an underrated speed of being able to do his Baron, just from the fact of, again, you're constantly spamming your Q, able to get off your W, like so much damage able to come out in a short amount of time, even if it isn't all based on auto attacks. They get the Baron, they get the resets off, now they will have full control over the map. Even looking at you know, ultimates coming out, Realm Warp going to be up soon, Slicing Maelstrom going to be up soon. We get to go into the play once again, the Realm Warp setting everything up to be able to choke the members of FPX out. Care once again, trying to find picks on the opposite side. We hit on, you have no real point-click CC to take Abel down, he can reposition, and then here, OMG coming in, 3 members strong. They have the CC, Slicing Maelstrom to lock people down, and then Aki and Abel pretty much just able to ignore xiaolaohu and Care with Aki zoning them off, allows for the turn to be able to come through for OMG.
This is everything used by Epic. This is no damage. LWX dies and the damage is
No
so
damage?
limited.
No.
And for FPX, I mean, at this point, after that fight with the soul taken, it's 5,000 gold lead, but it feels like so much more. Creme, I'm going to say it again, he's a fridge. He's literally a fridge. I would not be opening the doors on that one.
You didn't call Creme a fridge.
Well, did I?
Can't remember who you called a fridge.
No, but the fridge is the art of the unit. And he's a 3-item fridge. As Aki flashes over the wall, he's found Care. Immediately he has to use the Spirit Rush, but Aki has the ulti. Evercross slows him down. That's a good charm, but again, damage puts him down to half HP with members who should be dishing it out, but are not.
You know, I just remember you saying that a fridge is like the most solid object
It is.
there is. You can't hit a fridge, but
What's more solid than fridge?
diamonds.
Yeah, but if people look at diamonds, people think diamonds are fragile, even though they're not.
They're not.
People think they're fragile because it's a, like it
I mean,
looks like
typically they're
glass.
small, right? I mean, if you punch a large diamond, I can't use the words on broadcast that I want to say,
Okay.
but I think we should just go back, looking at OMG. I actually pulled you away that time, so I can't blame you.
That's new.
But we need to remind the viewers, if OMG win the series, they qualify for playoffs.
They do.
Their next 2 days don't matter. They're positioned well to bring us to a Game 3. We see now the ultimates are up. They're able to try and force these fights. FPX not having a great amount of wave clear outside of the Jinx. You know what? You hit on it before. Really no damage either. You look at the amount of armor coming out. I mean, Randuin's already on Aki. Of course, Creme sitting on the Frozen Heart. I forget what Abel's item's called. Something Buckler that turns into a Frozen Heart for himself.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Something Buckler.
It comes in handy, right? Like when you already have the Mountain Soul, the stats so benefit.
The shield as well coming from that.
It's ridiculous. At this point, FPX not walking anywhere nearby. This game almost certainly feels like it's putting the too hard basket for FPX. And, you know, while we're commenting on how good Clid was game 1, game 2 on his Lee Sin, he's tried, but Aki has really been the MVP. And this series so far has come down to jungle.
Which, sadly, something we were going to talk about before the match, but we didn't get to the head-to-head between junglers.
Bummer.
It feels like both of these guys have been so instrumental in their team's wins. Even though for OMG, you know, largely has been the Creme show. I remember we talked about earlier in the split that if Aki and Creme as a unit can't get ahead, we've seen their side lanes able to fall behind quite heavily, just be targeted.
Yep.
And for FPX, I mean, with how aggressively they like to play in the early stages, it feels like that it is going to bank on Clid. That is his identity. It has been his style ever since he has pretty much been a pro player. And then with FPX trying to enable their bottom lane, feels so crucial. Not able to do it this time around. As we see, pretty much everyone falling behind. Care seems like the only one who's been able to find any sort of impact, but even then, you can only do so much at this point in time. And OMG not even going to risk like over-pushing, looking for picks. No. Seems like they're waiting for the neutral fight that they should be guaranteed to get in 1 minute and 40 seconds.
Yeah, that Elder coming through, so it'll be nice to see, especially since they'll have 3.5 items strong at the very least. I mean, we've just had a Void Staff picked up here by Shanji in the jungle. We already talked about the second item for Aki. I'm looking across and I see a double Frozen Heart, which we don't normally see because the passives, but I think Creme and Abel are going to be in very different areas, considering that Creme is the diamond running forward, and Abel is the Ice Cube trap. He's quite fragile. I'll say, you know, shout out to Australians. Actually, shout out to my home in Australia if it's listening.
Oh my god.
Not the people of it, the actual building. Ice cube trays. My freezer was too cold that I tried to get the ice cubes out. And I literally snapped 3 ice cube trays.
Wait, you mean here or you mean in
No, in Australia.
Well, then why are you shouting them out?
No, I'm shouting at my home.
Yeah.
The building.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
my lovely partner as well, but she's sleeping right now.
Abel, apparently an ice cube trade is not that easy to take down, as we get on with
Well,
not a lot of.
actually, he is though if you get onto him, but you don't really know it's going to break.
Guess what?
till it breaks.
OMG gonna get on top of xiaolaohu. I don't know what he is, but he's probably going down.
Well, it's gameplay. You bring me back here into a romantic moment between xiaolaohu and his 4 fans. Solar Flare comes through, but they just want his autograph, and he gives it over after getting bullied for it.
You know, don't mess with the paparazzi. As OMG
That's right,
now, numbers advantage. They're already winning. Already have item advantage as well. Elder's coming up. This should be theirs for free. As I'm kind of surprised we don't see more of them making it down. Shanji just going to recall, probably just going to TP in. You should be able to guarantee this one. I want to see people like Cold zoning on the opposite side of the pit. Don't give Clid an avenue in here. Or at the very least, try and play for that turn because you still have the Realm Warp up from Creme, and we've seen him consistently be able to get onto the opposite side.
True. As Clid will be spotted out shortly here at the very least. 5 members in front. xiaolaohu, 13 seconds to TP. It won't matter. Here comes the Realm Warp. They're turning for the play, and Clid is nowhere to be found. The charm on the massive unit. Creme is level 16, and he took no damage from that engage. True Shot Barrage hurts Lwx. They're going to try and kite this back out, but watch this Jinx. Can he survive on top of Cold? The ulti comes through. The answer, yes for now. TP coming through. Hang on a minute. Creme running forward, though, and he hasn't hit crucial targets. Ahri's low. 3K already dealt out by Lwx. OMG running forward, but I'm kind of concerned. Lwx getting hit from Mystic Shot, but not number 2. Shanji running in as well, still has the flash and the Lightning Maelstrom. The charm misses here, and now OMG feeling confident. Lwx by himself. This is getting weird.
And I don't really know what FPX look for here. Okay, they're going to turn on the Elder, but I don't actually feel like OMG necessarily hard lose fights at this point in time. Especially you starting the Elder puts you on, you know, clumping up in close range up against tons of
they're
AoE.
going to 50-50. They're going to 50-50. Ahri smoke screen out. He's zoned out. They get it. FPX now with the Elder. The kickback on top of Creme. xiaolaohu in the middle of the pit. And Shanji goes golden, but look at Lwx. Needs it. A couple of autos. Gets the first one. Onto the second. Over with the range. The zap not landing would have been massive. As Abel flushing over once cleared. Lwx can't kite it out. Ahri burning, but goes golden in the last minute. Abel on the chase. He will die in the end, but the fact that FPX got that was a miracle.
I mean, OMG not able to get there in time. Maybe could have found massive gains, but it didn't matter at all because they're still just too far ahead. They're able to win out in the team fight. They have that range coming from the Ezreal Qs like we said, and they are going to be bringing us to the 3rd game.
They are indeed. I mean, despite FPX getting the objective, OMG just still so far ahead. And surprisingly, this one goes to a game 3 when OMG looked like the weaker team in the series by far. Realm Warp with the minions will bring them in. Hung says howdly doodly, but OMG ain't dealing with no Neighborino. Abel playing around him for now. The minions still there to buff up the turrets. Hung's full time. Hang on. There's a charm. There's an Everfrost. There's one, but a reset over to Ahri, who becomes the Alistar. He's going to Heartbreaker away from here while xiaolaohu is on the chase. No flash available, but collateral damage there. Death Rocket 2. They've got another charm. They get the splash, and Ahri's down. The raid boss down with Cold surely up next. There's the Baron.
Yeah, for FPX, it's very easy pivot, right? Make your way towards that Baron. Creme trying to do all he can. Shanji's up, but I don't think there's anything you can do against 4 members strong from FPX. And Hung's up in 10 seconds. So you're going to have all 5 members able to make your way over here.
What is it with today and just games not ending when we feel like they're going to?
I have no idea. We saw Game 2, V5 Anyone's Legend. If you missed it, it was amazing. You missed out on something awesome. And then this game, FPX 34 once again, and OMG don't even look like they're contesting. So just free Baron over to the side of FPX. I guess it wasn't free. They did just kill a bunch of members of OMG to be able to get this, and we're going to see here how it went down. So we're going all the way back to the Elder. FPX able to get this one, and we see Shanji comes in with a huge slicing Maelstrom. Doesn't matter if they don't have the execute. Look at the amount of damage it does. It forces FPX out of the pit. And then now you have Creme. Creme doesn't need to commit to get damage off. Lwx doing his best to get damage down to find these kills, but Creme having the confidence to go over the wall with his flash, follow up onto the Jinx, finishes that one off. And with the heal here, I mean, again, it doesn't matter that you have Elder for Clid, able to be able to kill him before anything comes through.
And this is the final base race. I mean, at least the final base push. Hung buying a lot of time.
Yeah, Hung comes in. I mean, we've seen this before. Realm Warp comes through, able to push people away. Getting Abel off the Nexus specifically because he is the AD carry, being able to get a large part of that DPS down as we come into more action.
The Baron up cleared. Remember that FPX picked up the Baron before, and I want to point out that because of objective bounties, FPX have actually caught up in gold. However, they're still going up against Mountain Salt. They're still going up against a Ryze, a Kennen, where this composition has shown how effective it is.
But the one thing I do got to say for the side of FPX, look at Lwx's items, sitting 5 items strong as they just went away.
Yeah.
He is huge right now, doesn't have his flash available, could mean everything. But summoners on both sides down. So pretty much once you commit to a fight, you are committed for either side.
Good point. I mean, this Baron's going to be up for a minute 35 longer as well. So while you talk about LWX, that range that you always mentioned with the Jinx pick has come into fruition. And even versus the Ezreal, it's still going to be something we look towards. Now, Klid's off to a wing. We can see him on the flank, and OMG now know he's here. But look at where xiaolaohu is. While FPX are keeping mid at bay, he's built up a pretty massive topside wave. I wonder if he can get any closer towards the inner turret with it.
No, looks like he's just going to start pivoting away, but Ahri is going to move up here. He finds him, xiaolaohu.
He's sticking around. I mean, Shanji now gets him in vision. xiaolaohu's level 18, but 3 items only.
I do want to hit on, you just talking about the fights and the range coming through. For FPX, I feel like LWX should, burn front lines a lot faster than the opposing side.
True.
Maybe that's dissuaded a little bit with the Mountain Soul coming through.
No cleanse there. Actually, it was, excuse me, but Shanji's bigger onto LWX. He's without a cause, but he doesn't get stunned up. Ahri commits everything to get to this Jinx, and he's down. But how far are OMG gone? Care trying to clean it up on the backside, and xiaolaohu joins on in. That's the first reset. Hung going to be the next one as an involve comes in. And it doesn't matter how much you burn. As long as LWX goes down, the game is going to number 3.
Yeah, OMG, they find it. Shanji goes in. We see Ahri get in there. They find the kills that they're able to get. Now they can just push through, bring us to the game 3. The Coach Carter speech worked.
It did. And OMG, when backs were against the wall, they keep it going. FPX aren't safe yet. As we go to a game 3, our final spot of playoffs may very well be decided today.
Yeah, it could be decided. OMG coming off that performance, right? OMG only needing one more win. They will lock in playoffs. We're set. We still wait a few days because OMG, it'd be kind of funny if they win the series, they lock in and then have to play 2 games where, I guess maybe seeding implications are there, but at the end of the day, they know they'll be in playoffs.
The first round, yeah.
And, now we're going to see if they can do it again because this time around, it was the jungle, once again, Ahri setting off all of this early on. And then, we got to team fights, and EpicSkillshot just weren't able to find it. We saw a lot of good ultimates come out from Creme to be able to turn on the targets out of nowhere. Even the bot lane, which we were highlighting, like, hey, we would expect the Jinx to be able to get pushed early on because you have the rockets, you could just push Ezreal in. It was cold, finding a lot of really good engages, and I think Hung kind of underestimating the amount of tankiness and damage able to come in from the Leona to lead OMG, to finding, a solid early game lead and then a victory.
Because outside of the success in the early game from OMG, I think there are some crucial mistakes we talked about with FPX. The decision-making around the first Herald hurt them a lot. There was no trade. There was no LWX getting inflated in this game. FPX weren't trading a lot of the time, and OMG just felt like they were irking out these windows that maybe shouldn't have been available.
And then even once we got later on in the game and FPX started to bring it a little bit closer, I was just about to hit on, right? As Jinx, you should definitely shred frontline way faster than an Ezreal on the opposing side. But with the early game advantages OMG found, they were able to get, 2 Mountain Drakes. They were able to get the Mountain Soul, get that massive shield, and they were all just able to stack armor, which just made it so much harder for LWX. Sadly, though, we never even got a chance to see, animated carries just hitting frontline because OMG always found a way onto LWX.
True. I mean, it was everything committed in the end. I love to see it. Not much that Hung could do in that game, and FPX now in a dangerous position once again. We go to match point, where if OMG win this, FPX are out. No ifs, ands, or buts. They will secure the final spot, and FPX will have to hang their heads for the first time since 2018 spring. We're going to find that answer for you, though, shortly after.